The United Nations Security Council has adopted a resolution for the prevention and fight against genocide. The vote comes amidst ongoing commemoration of the 20th anniversary of the 1994 genocide in Rwanda. One of the key issues discussed was the question of how to frame the genocide that took place in Rwanda. Another issue is whether to include language on the ICC in the resolution. The role of the international community in the genocide has elicited controversy, sparking a row between Rwanda and France, who Kigali accuses of complicity in the mass killings. France is one of 5 permanent members of the Security Council. And for more on this, we're joined live by CCTV's Rebecca Bowring, live in New York. Rebecca, thanks for joining us. So the Security Council has passed the resolution on prevention and fight against genocide. What are the details?
Well, this is the Council's first resolution on genocide as a standalone issue. It was unanimously adopted, and the draft resolution was put forward by Rwanda, focusing on really very serious violations of international humanitarian law. And it also referred back to states' responsibility to protect their populations from human rights abuses. On top of that, it reframed the Rwandan genocide in a language that we haven't heard used before. For the last 20 years or so, the UN has always referred to it as genocide in Rwanda. Now Rwanda feels that this term is somewhat neutral, and wanted to draw attention to the fact that it was ethnic Tutsis who were targeted during the genocide. So in this draft resolution, we heard the term genocide against the Tutsis, during which Hutu and others who opposed it were also killed. Now, during the briefing today, we heard from Colin Keating. He's the New Zealand's former permanent representative to the UN, and he gave really quite a personal anecdote, because he was president of the council back in 1994, in April 1994, when genocide broke out in Rwanda, and he acknowledged and apologized for the UN's inability to act, its inaction and its failure to protect the people of Rwanda against genocide. On top of that, he also reminded us that 20 years on, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, we're still seeing the aftermath of the conflict, and that country is still dealing with mass instability as a result of the Rwandan genocide. More than 5 million people there have been killed. So he called for enhanced diplomacy and also enhanced deployment as a result of that.
And Rebecca, the vote comes amidst a raging row between France and Rwanda over France's alleged role in the genocide. Did this row play out in the discussions there?
Not in specific terms, no. We certainly heard an all-round apologetic tone at the UN Security Council. Remember, of course, Ban Ki-moon, UN Secretary General, in Kigali on the 7th of April at the commemorations there, saying that the UN acknowledges and recognises that it failed to act and is sorry for failing to prevent the genocide, and also that it knows and it recognises that it pulled peacekeepers out of the country at a time when they were most needed. And of course, France was not present at that commemoration service in Kigali. The delegation boycotted the event because of ongoing simmering tensions between France and Rwanda over France's alleged role in the genocide. And they came to a head when Rwandan President Paul Kagame spoke to Jeune Afrique magazine and said in an interview that France had facilitated, in effect, the murder of 800,000 Tutsis and moderate Hutus, and also implicated Belgium and said that those two countries had helped to prepare politically for the genocide. And on top of that, that French soldiers were actors in the bloodbath. Of course, this went down very badly with France, France saying that, in fact, its troops simply tried to protect Rwandan civilians. So this ongoing spat, it wasn't evident at all at the UN today. Tensions were very calm. No finger of blame pointed at France by the Rwandans, and France not needing to reiterate its self-defensive position, but was keen also to add again say that the UN did far too little, too late, and also raise the spectre of the Syrian conflict, saying that there's no excuse for inaction in contemporary conflicts either.
All right, Rebecca Bowring, live for us there in New York. Thanks very much for those insights.